What's up, guys? Here we are, we're taking a look at stuff. Now, I've had a lot of questions on my UI, what am I using, so I figured I'd just drop it all into one video. We're gonna go over my UI, the macros I use, and my key bindings. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't keybind everything. Well, I can't really do that, and I'll explain why here in a few minutes. But first, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the UI. I use, for the core, if you look down here at the bottom, the main thing that I'm using is going to be Spartan UI. Very solid UI. It is pretty customizable, and you can have this, you can have a see-through kind of model. There's a lot of different choices, but that's what I'm using for the base end of the UI. The next part you're seeing is grid. Works very nice. A lot of people, if you've ended up healing or anything like that, you use grid in a lot of different situations, but it's going to be more temperamental to what the people want to end up using. The next thing, I do use recount, and I know there's that big battle between recount and SCADA. Recount's just the one I like. I like being able to pull up the pie charts and just messing with it. But for the most part, this is what I end up using for the generalized UI, and then you'll see the different nameplates up here. They do get kind of crossed over. That's the one thing about Spartan UI that's a little different. They kind of have an issue right now, and it's just a bug. They'll probably end up getting it fixed later on as the patch goes on, but that's just the way things are going. I normally do run with a bunch of other UIs. Not UIs, but add-ons, and we'll... Basically, I run Accountant. You can end up seeing that down here. This is just a basic money gathering that'll show you how much you can end up getting. And then you've got Angry Assignments, which is more of a rating tool. You can check more out on that, but that's going to be dependent on if your guild or if you're actually rating with the guild. Atlas Loot, obviously, just end up looking stuff up. Bartender 4 is required for Spartan UI. So if you do end up going with Spartan UI, make sure that you have Bartender 4 down. Otherwise, you won't be able to get any of this additional add-ins. As you can see, you've got all your extra buttons that are hidden here. If you have a pet, the buttons will actually end up coming up through here. Your little side bags buttons. Excuse me. So it's fairly simple. And then I also do run with decursive. For those of you that don't know, I normally end up running as Elemental Shaman, but I'm going to be switching over to Restoration for this expansion just to end up helping push content with the guild. And I'll be rating as Restoration, and I will be pushing 5-man content as Elemental. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't really split. Don't get that. You don't need to be maxing out the weapon right off the bat, because, to be quite honest with you, you've got these really high top-end world's first server guys that are going to be pushing for that, but the common person, and even the people that have completed Mythic now, really don't need to end up doing that unless you're pushing top-end tier. And I'm getting too damn old for that shit, so... we do end up running Exorcist raid tools. Grid, again, is going to be the main down here. Normally, grid will end up being boxy, but you can actually pull up grid itself, and you can check your different layouts, see how you want them, and then adjust your frames. I actually open the frame width all the way, as you can see in the background right here. You'll actually see to where it adjusts. You can go through and adjust it any way you want, and then you can also add different indicators for different locations. So you'll have the border, your center text, left corners, right corners. Like my right corner is going to be based off of HOTS. If it's got a HOT from me already on there, it's going to show up. So that's just a little quick edit on grid also. Let's pull the add-ons back up. Weak auras, obviously, if you're in a situation where you need to end up tracking stuff, you can pull up weak auras and build a weak aura. I currently don't have any set as of right now because a lot of them got toasted over the 7.0 pre-patch, so I really wasn't too terribly worried about setting them back up until I get back into a solid rating scene. And it looks like that's going to be it for that situation. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, and I know this is going by really quick, but this is going to be your mouse over macros. If you are doing a healer, or if you are running, let's say, a rep paladin, prop pally, something like that, and you are running a UI, you can set certain abilities for your healing to basically end up healing. Now, without anything targeted, the way I've got these set, I'll pull it up, and I'll also end up putting this, I'll blatantly put this out there so you guys can see it up in the top left-hand corner. But Ascendance macro, that's basically for my elemental side. Chain heal, and you'll see how it says show tooltip, chain heal, use. And I will put this in not only the comments, but I will also end up putting it in the top left-hand corner so it's easier to end up seeing than what I've got. What this is going to do is situational. If you're mousing over a target, and they don't even have to be on your UI, they can be outside, you can mouse over them, hit it, and it's going to cause you to end up casting on that target. If you target it and you're not moused over, it will still heal on it, and if you are not targeted on anything and you end up going to heal, it's going to heal yourself. Makes it real nice and easy instead of having to end up doing your clicks. Like with, right now I'm clicked on myself. Alright, if you end up missing a click, let's say on your UI, if you're still moused over it, it's going to allow the additional heal. I don't have anybody else in group, so I can't really show off the grid, but it does work off the grid boxing. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos that I've shown, you'll actually see to where I have grid set up to where it'll fill 5 out here, and then it'll come across, and I do have it set up to where it shows tanks up in the top left-hand corner. It'll show tanks as yellow, it'll show healers as green, and then everybody else won't end up having something. There's a lot of different based items. It currently doesn't show me with anything due to the fact that I'm not in a group, so it's not going to show it. Yeah, it still won't end up showing it until I'm in a group. But because if I were in a group, I'd have a green square right here showing who the healer is. And then if it was a tank, it would show the tanks. And you can change that based by priority. You can set it up by group. Whatever is going to be the way that you want to set it. But it is going to take some time. Same thing with the recount down here. I mean, if you wanted to end up changing it from its normal red, all you do is go to color and adjust your colors. Very basic stuff. Very basic stuff. All it does is take a little bit of time to set this up. I do run with a couple other different items because I do end up raid leading most of our stuff anyways. But it's a solid few pieces. Now, people always tell me, oh, we've got a clicker, this, that. What you don't realize is I can't do the piano play. That's just me. I can't do it. I worked as a heavy diesel mechanic for 15 years, and my hands are junk. So I don't end up stretching very much. They're short, they're chalky, and they're just not right for doing this anymore. I used to end up having everything keybound, but I can't do it anymore. That's all there is to it. If you don't like it, take your leadism somewhere else. Don't fucking care. So what I do have is I do have generalized mouse over macros, and then the rest of my macros are going to be tied into my mouse buttons themselves, and then everything else I do end up clicking for longer cooldowns, like your Healing Tide Totem, your Spirit Walker's Grace, all that fun little stuff. That's the way it goes. You don't have to always end up playing the way that, again, like the top 500 people. You got to play what makes you comfortable. If you aren't comfortable hitting, you know, Alt and then 0 or 9 or whatever all the way down your damn keyboard, basically being a piano player, if you can't do that, you got to find something that does work for you. And that's the easiest way to end up going. All in all, this is going to be the general of my setup. Not a lot going on. Very simplistic. I do end up healing. Again, I used to end up healing quite a bit back in the day, but currently I do not end up doing a lot of healing, and I have recently gotten back into it. Not a lot going on. I mean, 739, I am sitting in my elemental gear, but even in my resto gear, it's 737. Again, I mean, it's all a matter of where you want to end up putting yourself. You got to commit yourself. If you're looking for a guild or anything like that, you got to actually put yourself out there in commitment. Don't expect world first kills from just about any guild out there right now, especially from US servers. It's not going to end up happening. What you got to do is be kind, be calm, be courteous, and keep pushing yourself to end up doing better. And don't be a dick. That's the main thing. Don't be a dick, because the more people that are out there being a dick about this game, they're just petty. I mean, they're more than likely the ones that are bottom feeding at the lower end, that are just out there to be elitist and try and enjoy themselves that way. Which, if that's the way you enjoy yourselves, by all means, go for it. I'm just going to ignore you. So, with everyone else that actually wants to progress and do better, the main thing you got to do is find a guild, get committed, and actually follow through with the new mechanics that are coming out, and start paying attention to your artifact calculators, what you plan on playing, because it does get quite expensive to end up redoing your artifact once you get there. So make sure you're paying attention. You get your first 13 points. That 13th point's going to cost you 1,000 artifact power, and then after that it goes to 6,600 currently. Pay attention, use the calculators that are out there, and just check them all out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed yourself. This was real quick on the UI. If you do have any other questions, post them in the comments, and I will help you as much as I can. Thank you very much.